The number one rule for being on a GLP-1, and it's not what you think. Hi, I'm Dina, and welcome to my channel, Living Mosaic. For all of you who are new here, thank you for joining, and so hit subscribe and like and share if you find value in my video. And for those of you who have been with me, thanks for coming back. And I appreciate you all for joining me on my journey. So, the number one rule that I think is so very important while taking a GLP-1 is to be kind to yourself. And I'm going to share a little more detail of what that looks like. One thing is for sure, it's really hard for us as humans to be kind to ourselves. It's really easy to be kind to others and to help others and to consider others, right? But we don't always consider ourselves. So when I say be kind to yourself, what do you think that means? Well, in this journey of weight loss and health and reaching goals for a better self, right? That's going to include things like managing expectations and comparisons. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. Expectations are things that can really just set you up for failure in many ways throughout your whole entire life and in many situations. It's not just the simple thing like, oh, I want this to happen, I want that to happen. But it's when you really, really, really feel like it has to happen. Okay. So we have expectations about anything and everything. Like we might say, okay, I really want to have some, friends over for dinner. And you're going to expect that they show up on time and, the dinner's ready when they walk in and all these things. And expectations are kind of like these rules that we set for ourselves, right? And if it doesn't work out, we get ourselves frustrated or irritated or even angry, right? So when we set an expectation and it doesn't come to fruition, what happens, right? Have you seen yourself take a turn for the worse and not really be the person you want to be or respond the way you want to respond? So expectations are the type of thing in this journey that can really, I don't know, set you off in a bad way. So for example, if I have a really good weight loss in the first part of my journey, say, I don't know, hypothetically 2 pounds a week, and then I go into week 5 and I'm expecting that 2 pounds, but I don't get it, then I'm going to really just feel, defeated. And I'm probably going to feel like a failure in some way, right? I mean, does that sound like something you've done? Okay. Does it sound like it's possible to do? Set an expectation, doesn't work out, and then you just all of the air just kind of goes out of your balloon. And that's what I'm talking about, setting yourself up for failure. So kind of be aware of setting too many expectations about things, because that's when we can get off track. Really simple. Okay. Now, the next thing is comparisons. Now, let's be real. We watch all these YouTube videos, other creators, other people on the journey, and we're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They've lost such and such pounds in this amount of time and stuff like that. And there's a difference when you compare versus using things for motivation, right? So if we're watching these other folks do their videos and their progress and right, and we're really taking it in and saying, okay, that's a great, you know, goal, and that's, a great weight loss, and that's, really cool non-scale victory, right? So we're motivated to really focus in on our journey and do it the best we can, and that's great. But when we start comparing ourselves and then we say, well, why didn't I lose weight this week? That person's losing weight like every week. How wonderful. That person is not having any side effects. How great is that? And I'm sitting here suffering. It's easy to get trapped in that mindset of comparison, you know? So it's not healthy to get there. And we can do it in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different situations, just like with the expectations. So it's important to try to be very self-aware. And when we're watching other creators, other people on their GLP-1 journey, let's look at it from a lens of learning and motivation, not from a lens of comparisons. But we can get trapped in that because of, growing up in a certain environment where you were shamed for being overweight. No one else in your family was overweight. Or, you can see that in society in the way they push certain, ideals or certain looks. And the truth is, we do not have to be like everyone else. We're not a cookie cutter. We're individuals, right? Individuals. And we should be able to appreciate ourselves in those individual ways so that we can be our own best support, our own best motivator. Okay. So, what do we do instead? And I'm going to say the two top things that you can do in this journey to be kind to yourself is going to be patience and contentment, right? So instead of expectations, we want to be patient with ourselves. We want to have mercy and grace along the way, right? It's just what we have to do. We have to have patience and let the journey take its course. And if we're doing all the things right, okay, we just ride with it. We go on that ride with it and we see where it takes us. Because if we're doing all the right things, we are going to have that success. We just don't want to give up. Okay? And then the second piece was contentment. I am a big believer in contentment in a lot of areas in my life. Does that mean we can't get discouraged or we kind of lose hope or lose heart about things? No, because we're human, right? We have feelings. We're allowed to have feelings. But contentment is not having to struggle with this ideal that, oh, I got to be like so-and-so, or I got to be like that person. So it goes back to the comparisons. Instead of comparing ourselves with others or comparing our lives with what someone else has, we should be truly content. And a part of that is being grateful. Practice gratefulness, right? Be thankful for all of the things that you do have. Those things are very important. They're very valuable. So that's why I really believe that on this GLP-1 journey, the number one rule is to be kind to yourself. We don't know how to always be kind to ourselves. So whatever it is, maybe it's, a childhood trauma or hurt or something that, someone said to us once that made us feel a certain kind of way and it just stuck with us. And that happens. But we also have to recognize it and practice refining ourselves so that we don't have to live and sit in that constantly. Okay? So think about how you want to achieve things in this journey. Set goals, work towards the goals, and focus in on taking joy and contentment in the process while you're patient with yourself. Because that is truly where you're going to be kind to yourself. And I've heard from another gal that I watch that she believes in really being gracious and thankful to all that her body is doing, all the new things, right? I love that. I really love that. And so I just want to say that is a really good insight to have. And I've even taken that to heart. I'm like, you know what? That is a very valid point. And if we truly can be thankful and grateful for how our body goes from day 1 to day 2 to day 3, we're going to see those little changes and progresses, right? We're going to see it. And I already can tell, like, some of my earlier videos when I'm walking and I'm sharing about my walk and my step goals. I started at 3,000 steps, and I remember my hip was hurting. Like, I really felt like it was hard for me to walk. I couldn't walk down my street without my hip hurting, and I could barely walk around and do my cemetery walk without my hip hurting. And I didn't hurt myself. I didn't go too far too hard in the beginning because I knew I was a brand new beginner. I was very sedentary and I wasn't doing things. And that's what got me to where I was on my health um, journey as far as it being an issue. Okay. So all those things kind of compiled. But guess what? My goal is 5,000 steps now, and I'm walking. I no longer have any hip pain. I can walk a mile in like 15 minutes. I mean, I was doing a 20-minute mile. So, or even was it 3/4 of a mile. But I'm seeing my progress. Even though it's slow and steady, I'm being patient with myself along the way, and I'm not trying to expect all this stuff to happen right now. And I feel like for me, that has been what has kept me in this mode of contentment, right? I don't have to compare myself to others. I can learn from others, right? And I can be inspired by others. And that's really what I'm trying to do here. So I see a lot of other YouTubers, they're doing squats and lifting weights, and I have not done any of that until this week. Like, I literally just started. I did do some of the weight machines at the Y, but I felt like I don't know, I just didn't really like that. I wanted to really have like the dumbbells and do the things, right? So I've kind of been researching. That's what I do. I do a little bit of research. I look into things. I try to see how to do things. And so I looked up a couple different YouTube videos. I was listening to things, watching a few videos, getting feedback from some of these people and their channels on YouTube, even fitness people. Like, I switched and, I was starting watching muscle builders and, women who lift and, you know, older people who lift and, learn about creatine. I've been taking creatine, for muscles, and even before I started lifting the weights. So I'm starting to make these gradual changes, and I'm a beginner, right? So, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to be very patient with myself, and I'm going to give myself mercy, and I know I'm a beginner. And so that's kind of where I'm going to start with beginning things. And I even found a video where it's for seniors, and I'm not afraid to say, hey, I'm starting out as if I'm a senior, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm starting out, and it's okay. I know that I can't just go full throttle. My body's not going to be able to do that. Okay. However, I was pleasantly surprised this week. I was able to do my 2 full body weight workouts Monday and then this morning. And I really feel like I do pretty decent squats. And I couldn't really do that before. My hip wasn't the best. Like, it was achy and was weird, like if I did too much. And my knee is kind of funky, one of my knees. And so that's why another reason I was taking it easy, trying to just go slow and get in there. But I just wanted to get in there, if you know what I'm saying. So I was just trying to get in there, even if it was slow and steady. And I'm fine with that because I know that that's going to excite me about doing it more and more and more. So I also decided to, with my new weight training program that I'm starting, right, is I got me a couple books, and here's one, for example, Strength Training for Women Over 50. And I'm like, this would be great because I want to start out easy. I want to start out like I'm not a muscle builder. And this talks about flexibility, mobility, helping with weight gain, and becoming more vibrant. And it's just a really nice book. It has pictures. It gives you the sets, the reps. It shows you different full body exercise, and it just kind of it's reading, and it's going to help me learn things, right? So it's got pictures in it, but it's also a good reading book, kind of giving me some information. And then I did another one called 5-Minute Core Exercises for Seniors. And this one, that's what it looks like. And I'm excited to kind of get in here and look at these. And so it has like really, there's knee lifts, right? So it shows the pictures of the knees, and then it gives them examples over here. And just different things like exercise you can do in a chair, exercises that you do outside of a chair, different kinds of exercise like the bird dog, which is kind of like a, I don't know, plank type of kick, and different things like that. So it's kind of like it's got cute little pictures in it. So that's exciting because I'm also a visual learner like that, and I like to do that. So the visual really is going to help me. And I've already done the 2 workouts, and I really am pleasantly surprised with those. I was able to do like a modified plank and the squats. Those 2 I was really impressed with myself for being able to do as well as I thought I did. So I was excited about that, and I'm definitely seeing these small steps, these progresses, even if it's slow and steady, right? So my goal is to be kind to myself in this journey because I'm going to appreciate myself more in the journey, if that makes sense. I'm not going to be so hard on myself. I'm not going to tear myself down for not reaching a goal. And those of you who have followed me, you know that there's some weeks I haven't lost anything. In fact, one week I gained a little bit, and then the other week I lost very little. So what can I do about it? I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, right? But it's just your body metabolizes, and it has, all these different things, could be, fluid retention, whatever, it's okay. Just let it run its course as long as you keep doing the things you're doing, right? And we all know what those are. Protein, fiber, hydration. Those are the top 3 things that everybody talks about. Those are my top 3 things. So, and of course, healthy carbs and greens like that. So, which falls into fiber as well. But I just wanted to kind of share those things with you because it's really been on my heart, and kind of give you a little update with my weight training because I'm happy that I'm doing that, and finding some really cool YouTube channels on there, and with some interesting things. So I'm going to keep learning, and that's kind of what I would suggest along the way. Is more you learn, and the more you're going to feel confident in the journey, right? So my number 1 rule for being on a GLP-1 is be kind to yourself, okay? Be kind to yourself. Manage your expectations and your comparisons, and focus in on patience and contentment. Okay. And again, if you find value in this video, please like and subscribe and share, and come along with me in my journey. And at the end of my journey, I do a living self-care rally where I just do my little butterfly taps back and forth, and I say I matter, I am valued, I am loved. I am a living mosaic, because all of the experiences that we have in life, both good and bad, create the person that we are today into this beautiful, colorful mosaic, right? And for those of you who want to know what my Living Word Bible verse is, it's Galatians 6, verse 4 and 5, and it says, "Each one must test his own work, and then his reason to boast will be in himself alone and not in his neighbor, for each will have to bear his own load." I think that is really fitting for today. But thank you so much for joining me. I've had a great time sharing this video. It's something I'm passionate about as a mental health therapist. These are things that I'm so passionate about, and I just wanted to share that with you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not your mental health therapist, but I did want to share those things, and hopefully they're valuable to you. And until next time, take care, and I will see you again. Bye.